You're watching Let's Chat.
Of course, with the disappearance of Miss Guthrie that has just taken the world by storm over the past 3 weeks, we wanted to explore the cryptocurrency aspect of that, among other things. And for that, we turn to our expert. It is Chris Hopkins. Chris, good to have you here.
Good morning,
as always.
Chip. Thank you.
Doing a little research for this, I had no idea there were so many cryptocurrency brands.
Right.
Depending upon
Right.
who you listen to, 9,000 to 20,000.
Actually, probably about 10 million altogether. Most of them are dead. They never made it.
Right.
Probably around 18,000 that are actually, you would say, live. Now, of that, Bitcoin makes up 60% of the total.
So they got the lion's share.
They
of
got
that
the
market.
lion's share. And then there's a couple more. The top 10 make up 85 or 90%.
So as I understand it, there's basically 3 types of this cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin, which is used for payment, stable coins like Tether, and then the utility and security tokens, the NFTs and things like that.
Yeah.
For the purpose of this discussion, let's focus here on Bitcoin.
Sure.
What makes it so popular?
So Bitcoin, first of all, because it's the most widely accepted. Everybody knows Bitcoin. You
Right.
probably couldn't name number 5, XRP or
Sure.
whatever, right? So because it's more commonly accepted, it's the go-to name, number one. Number two is it has been kind of the go-to cryptocurrency for things like ransomware and kidnap payments and so forth. And that's because to a high degree, the transactions are anonymous. Now, that's not entirely true. And what we hope is, in this case with Ms. Guthrie, is that there are ways to track some of this. But the idea of Bitcoin itself, the whole idea is, or any cryptocurrencies, that the transactions are anonymous. You could send me some Bitcoin from your wallet to mine, and that transaction would show up. Anybody could see it, but they can't identify you or me.
In a nutshell, how does that work?
Well, there's a great big computer ledger. It's called the blockchain, and it's massive. And this was created right around 2008, 2009. And so anytime there's a transfer of Bitcoin from, let's say I'm going to give you 1 Bitcoin. They're worth $68,000. So I'm probably not going to do that today. But
Right.
let's say I gave you a Bitcoin. In order to do that, there has to be a ledger entry. And that entry exists on dozens of different copies of this blockchain ledger. And it's not just cryptocurrency. We're starting to see now people using it for titling real estate and so forth. So it's a highly secure computerized ledger. And that ledger keeps track of all the transactions without having to go through a bank account. And hence, it's often considered anonymous.
Yet it is not legal tender.
Right, correct.
It is not backed by the federal government.
Absolutely.
So how do you know it's safe?
You don't. And that's the thing about Bitcoin is it has yet to be established what the use case of Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency is. Bitcoin, last October, 1 Bitcoin was worth $126,000. Today it's $68,000. It's fallen almost in half.
Yeah.
So if you live in Bitcoin world and you're buying things with it, which is still difficult, you had a 100% inflation rate last year.
How is that taxable?
That's a great question. So Bitcoin is treated like any other kind of a capital asset. So for example, if you went to the store and you bought a loaf of bread with Bitcoin, you would have to keep track of how much you paid for the Bitcoin, how much you spent for the loaf of bread, and you would have to report that on your income taxes.
All right, Bitcoin, and I quote, they upgrade it through a voting process among network participants. Who are the network participants?
Sure. So there's a huge network of people that validate these transactions. They're known as miners. And there's all these analogies to real money. So a Bitcoin miner is somebody who's got a big, high-powered computer that's running calculations to verify these transactions. And in exchange for that, they will be awarded a piece of a Bitcoin. That's where they come from in the first place, and that's why it's called mining. And it's a huge number of people running big, heavy-duty computers.
In the case of the Guthrie disappearance, assuming that she is still alive and
Right.
the family pays, what is the biggest danger in the kidnappers getting caught?
That's a great question. So because the transactions are anonymous, if the kidnapper received Bitcoin directly to a private wallet, they probably wouldn't be able to trace it. The risk for the kidnapper or any ransomware perpetrator is when they try to cash it in and turn it to dollars. At that point, they have to go to an exchange like Binance or CoinDesk, and those institutions are required to report to the government. So if the kidnapper gets $6 million worth of Bitcoins and goes and tries to turn that into US dollars, that's when the probability of nabbing them really goes up.
Because you only get up to $10,000 before it gets IRS
Exactly.
and red flag.
Yep.
What's to stop you and me from opening up our own Bitcoin or our own cryptocurrency?
Nothing. In fact, you may recall that President Trump started his own the week before he entered office. Just created it out of thin air, and it initially had a value of about $20 billion. Now that's fallen by about 95%. There's a whole class of these Bitcoins like Dogecoin, you've probably heard of, that were really created more as curiosities or jokes.
Yeah.
They were never intended to be actual legal currency.
There are so many other questions we have. Sadly, we are up against the clock, but at least you help spread a little bit of a little bit of light on this very dark subject.
Oh, and there's
It's,
hope. If the kidnappers try to cash it, if indeed it's a legitimate request, which we don't know, but if it is, and the ransom is paid, and they try to convert it into US dollars, there's a much higher probability they will get picked up.
Chris Hopkins, always a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Chip.
You can find out more about this and anything money related. Just get in touch with Chris at Apogee Wealth Partners. And your website is?
ApogeeWP.com.
Stick around. We have more of Let's Chat right after this.